Di tengah pesatnya perkembangan dunia bisnis dan ekonomi, inilah tempat di mana kreativitas, pengetahuan, dan semangat entrepreneur bersatu. Selamat datang di Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis. Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Universitas Merdeka Malang adalah tempat bagi para pemimpin masa depan yang memiliki pengetahuan dan keterampilan yang dibutuhkan untuk menghadapi tantangan global. Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Universitas Merdeka Malang memiliki program studi S1 Akuntansi, Manajemen, dan Ekonomi Pembangunan, program Diploma Perbankan dan Keuangan, serta Diploma Akuntansi. Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Unmer Malang memiliki tim pengajar yang ahli di bidangnya masing-masing. Dengan pengalaman praktis dan keahlian akademis yang kuat, mereka menjadi mentor dalam mengembangkan potensi mahasiswa. Selain pengetahuan akademis yang mendalam, Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Unmer Malang juga memfasilitasi para mahasiswa untuk berpartisipasi dalam berbagai kegiatan di luar kelas. Organisasi mahasiswa, seminar, lokakarya, dan proyek-proyek praktis adalah beberapa contoh kegiatan yang memberikan kesempatan bagi mahasiswa untuk mengasah keterampilan kepemimpinan, kolaborasi, dan inovasi. Fasilitas modern dan teknologi mutakhir turut mendukung proses pembelajaran. Laboratorium komputer, perpustakaan yang lengkap, yang memungkinkan mahasiswa menggali lebih dalam konsep-konsep ekonomi dan bisnis, serta mengembangkan keterampilan analitis mereka. Alumni Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Unmer Malang telah sukses di berbagai bidang industri. Mereka telah mengaplikasikan pengetahuan dan keterampilan yang diperoleh selama studi untuk mencapai kesuksesan dalam karir mereka. Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis adalah tempat di mana impian bertransformasi menjadi realitas. Kami undang Anda untuk bergabung dengan komunitas kami, menjadi bagian dari perjalanan yang tak terlupakan untuk menggapai kesuksesan di dunia bisnis dan ekonomi. Di tengah pesatnya perkembangan dunia bisnis dan ekonomi, inilah tempat di mana kreativitas, pengetahuan, dan semangat entrepreneur bersatu. Selamat datang di Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis. Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Universitas Merdeka Malang adalah tempat bagi para pemimpin masa depan yang memiliki pengetahuan dan keterampilan yang dibutuhkan untuk menghadapi tantangan global. Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Universitas Merdeka Malang memiliki program studi S1 Akuntansi, Manajemen, dan Ekonomi Pembangunan, program Diploma Perbankan dan Keuangan, serta Diploma Akuntansi. Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Unmer Malang memiliki tim pengajar yang ahli di bidangnya masing-masing. Dengan pengalaman praktis dan keahlian akademis yang kuat, mereka menjadi mentor dalam mengembangkan potensi mahasiswa. Selain pengetahuan akademis yang mendalam, Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Unmer Malang juga memfasilitasi para mahasiswa untuk berpartisipasi dalam berbagai kegiatan di luar kelas. Organisasi mahasiswa, seminar, lokakarya, dan proyek-proyek praktis adalah beberapa contoh kegiatan yang memberikan kesempatan bagi mahasiswa untuk mengasah keterampilan kepemimpinan, kolaborasi, dan inovasi. Fasilitas modern dan teknologi mutakhir turut mendukung proses pembelajaran. Laboratorium komputer, perpustakaan yang lengkap, yang memungkinkan mahasiswa menggali lebih dalam konsep-konsep ekonomi dan bisnis, serta mengembangkan keterampilan analitis mereka. Alumni Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Unmer Malang telah sukses di berbagai bidang industri. Mereka telah mengaplikasikan pengetahuan dan keterampilan yang diperoleh selama studi untuk mencapai kesuksesan dalam karir mereka. Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis adalah tempat di mana impian bertransformasi menjadi realitas. Kami undang Anda untuk bergabung dengan komunitas kami, menjadi bagian dari perjalanan yang tak terlupakan untuk menggapai kesuksesan di dunia bisnis dan ekonomi. Di tengah pesatnya perkembangan dunia bisnis dan ekonomi, inilah tempat di mana kreativitas, pengetahuan, dan semangat entrepreneur bersatu. Selamat datang di Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis. Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Universitas Merdeka Malang adalah tempat bagi para pemimpin masa depan yang memiliki pengetahuan dan keterampilan yang dibutuhkan untuk menghadapi tantangan global. Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Universitas Merdeka Malang memiliki program studi S1 Akuntansi, Manajemen dan Ekonomi Pembangunan, program Diploma Perbankan dan Keuangan, serta Diploma Akuntansi. Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Unmer Malang memiliki tim pengajar yang ahli di bidangnya masing-masing. Dengan pengalaman praktis dan keahlian akademis yang kuat, mereka menjadi mentor dalam mengembangkan potensi mahasiswa. Selain pengetahuan akademis yang mendalam, Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Unmer Malang juga memfasilitasi para mahasiswa untuk berpartisipasi dalam berbagai kegiatan di luar kelas. Organisasi mahasiswa, seminar, lokakarya, dan proyek-proyek praktis adalah beberapa contoh kegiatan yang memberikan kesempatan bagi mahasiswa untuk mengasah keterampilan kepemimpinan, kolaborasi, dan inovasi. Fasilitas modern dan teknologi mutakhir turut mendukung proses pembelajaran. Laboratorium komputer, perpustakaan yang lengkap, yang memungkinkan mahasiswa menggali lebih dalam konsep-konsep ekonomi dan bisnis, serta mengembangkan keterampilan analitis mereka. Alumni Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Unmer Malang telah sukses di berbagai bidang industri. Mereka telah mengaplikasikan pengetahuan dan keterampilan yang diperoleh selama studi untuk mencapai kesuksesan dalam karir mereka. Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis adalah tempat di mana impian bertransformasi menjadi realitas. Kami undang Anda untuk bergabung dengan komunitas kami, menjadi bagian dari perjalanan yang tak terlupakan untuk menggapai kesuksesan di dunia bisnis dan ekonomi. Di tengah pesatnya perkembangan dunia bisnis dan ekonomi, inilah tempat di mana kreativitas, pengetahuan, dan semangat entrepreneur bersatu. Selamat datang di Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis. Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Universitas Merdeka Malang adalah tempat bagi para pemimpin masa depan yang memiliki pengetahuan dan keterampilan yang dibutuhkan untuk menghadapi tantangan global. Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Universitas Merdeka Malang memiliki program studi S1 Akuntansi, Manajemen dan Ekonomi Pembangunan, program Diploma Perbankan dan Keuangan, serta Diploma Akuntansi. Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Unmer Malang memiliki tim pengajar yang ahli di bidangnya masing-masing. Dengan pengalaman praktis dan keahlian akademis yang kuat, mereka menjadi mentor dalam mengembangkan potensi mahasiswa. Selain pengetahuan akademis yang mendalam, Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Unmer Malang juga memfasilitasi para mahasiswa untuk berpartisipasi dalam berbagai kegiatan di luar kelas. Organisasi mahasiswa, seminar, lokakarya, dan proyek-proyek praktis adalah beberapa contoh kegiatan yang memberikan kesempatan bagi mahasiswa untuk mengasah keterampilan kepemimpinan, kolaborasi, dan inovasi. Fasilitas modern dan teknologi mutakhir turut mendukung proses pembelajaran. Laboratorium komputer, perpustakaan yang lengkap, yang memungkinkan mahasiswa menggali lebih dalam konsep-konsep ekonomi dan bisnis, serta mengembangkan keterampilan analitis mereka. Alumni Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Unmer Malang telah sukses di berbagai bidang industri. Mereka telah mengaplikasikan pengetahuan dan keterampilan yang diperoleh selama studi untuk mencapai kesuksesan dalam karir mereka. Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis adalah tempat di mana impian bertransformasi menjadi realitas. Kami undang Anda untuk bergabung dengan komunitas kami, menjadi bagian dari perjalanan yang tak terlupakan untuk menggapai kesuksesan di dunia bisnis dan ekonomi. Di tengah pesatnya perkembangan dunia bisnis dan ekonomi, inilah tempat di mana kreativitas, pengetahuan, dan semangat entrepreneur bersatu. Selamat datang di Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis. Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Universitas Merdeka Malang adalah tempat bagi para pemimpin masa depan yang memiliki pengetahuan dan keterampilan yang dibutuhkan untuk menghadapi tantangan global. Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Universitas Merdeka Malang memiliki program studi S1 Akuntansi, Manajemen dan Ekonomi Pembangunan, program Diploma Perbankan dan Keuangan, serta Diploma Akuntansi. Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Unmer Malang memiliki tim pengajar yang ahli di bidangnya masing-masing. Dengan pengalaman praktis dan keahlian akademis yang kuat, mereka menjadi mentor dalam mengembangkan potensi mahasiswa. Selain pengetahuan akademis yang mendalam, Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Unmer Malang juga memfasilitasi para mahasiswa untuk berpartisipasi dalam berbagai kegiatan di luar kelas. Organisasi mahasiswa, seminar, lokakarya, dan proyek-proyek praktis adalah beberapa contoh kegiatan yang memberikan kesempatan bagi mahasiswa untuk mengasah keterampilan kepemimpinan, kolaborasi, dan inovasi. Fasilitas modern dan teknologi mutakhir turut mendukung proses pembelajaran. Laboratorium komputer, perpustakaan yang lengkap, yang memungkinkan mahasiswa menggali lebih dalam konsep-konsep ekonomi dan bisnis, serta mengembangkan keterampilan analitis mereka. Alumni Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Unmer Malang telah sukses di berbagai bidang industri. Mereka telah mengaplikasikan pengetahuan dan keterampilan yang diperoleh selama studi untuk mencapai kesuksesan dalam karir mereka. Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis adalah tempat di mana impian bertransformasi menjadi realitas. Kami undang Anda untuk bergabung dengan komunitas kami, menjadi bagian dari perjalanan yang tak terlupakan untuk menggapai kesuksesan di dunia bisnis dan ekonomi.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom Om Swastiastu. Namo Buddhaya. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We would like to say welcome to the second day of the very first International Accounting Student Conference organized by Asosiasi Dosen Akuntansi Indonesia and Universitas Merdeka Malang with the theme Multi-Paradigm Perspective on Accounting, Finance, and Tax. First, we would like to acknowledge the distinguished speakers of this international conference, Professor Indra Devi from Manipal International University, Malaysia, Dr. Felisa Rubaya from Rizal Technological University from the Philippines, Dr. Kanitson Paupong from Rangsit University, Thailand, Dr. Prihat Asih from Universitas Merdeka Malang, Associate Professor Dr. Rahayu A. Rahman from University Technology Mara, Malaysia, Dr. Muhammad Yamin Noh from Universitas Yapis Papua, Professor Khalid Husaini from University of Portsmouth, United Kingdom, Dr. Ahmed Elamer from Brunei University, London, United Kingdom, and Associate Professor Enkelida Lulach from University Hasizaka, Kosovo, and also Dr. Arfan Ihsan Lubis from Universitas Negeri Medan, Indonesia. And we would like to extend our warmest greetings to the head of our institution, the chairman of the Foundation of Merdeka Malang, the rectors and vice rectors of the Universitas Merdeka Malang, the director of postgraduate program and the deans of the faculties, the honorable guests and participants of this seminar. My name is Andini Riswandini, and it is an honor to be your master of ceremonies and moderator for today's event. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to read the Zoom meeting instructions for the webinar participants. All of the participants must have their camera on at all times during the webinar. Please use the virtual background that will be provided in the chat box. If you have any questions, please feel free to interact with today's speakers. Can you type in your questions in the Zoom chat box? Can you state your name, your organization or affiliation, followed by your questions? I'll read the questions at the end of each speaker presentations. Before we move on to our next session, can we please have a photo session together? Can you please use your virtual background and open your camera? I will ask the IT staff to take picture for all of us. Okay. Can the IT staff take our picture? Okay, for the first slide. Thank you. Second slide. Can you please turn on your camera, everyone? Thank you. Third slide. Fourth slide. Fifth slide. And sixth slide. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, to start with the main event of today's conference, I am pleased to introduce our first speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Rahayu A. Rahman from University Technology, Mara, Malaysia. Professor Rahayu, without further ado, the platform is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Dr. Andin Hirai. How are you, Doctor?
I'm good. Thank you so much, Professor Rahayu, for joining us in Sunday morning. It's Sunday
Thank
afternoon.
you. Assalamualaikum and very good afternoon and salam sejahtera everyone. First of all, let me share the slide first, yeah? Can you see the slide?
Yes, it is visible. Thank you.
Okay. So first of all, I would like to thank to the organizer of the first International Accounting Student Conference for 2023 for inviting me to be part of the conference. Okay, Alhamdulillah. So inshallah today I would like to share with all of you on one of the important issue. The title is Academic Integrity in Higher Education, Building a Culture of Honesty and Ethics. Okay, this is the outline for today's sharing session. I'm going to touch a little bit on the corporate and accounting scandal as it's become actually one of the significant trigger factors for increasing calling for academic integrity culture in higher education institutions. Then we discuss on the what is academic integrity and its fundamental. And then we move to how academic misconduct and the emergence of artificial intelligence, for example, ChatGPT, might give adverse impact on the academic integrity. And then I conclude the sharing by highlighting several prevention strategies in sustaining academic integrity at higher education institutions. So before we discuss further, I would like to share with all of you on the quotation from the 26th presidents of the United States of America during 1906 to 1909, which is Theodore Roosevelt. Yeah. So he said, to educate a man in mind and not in a moral is to educate a manners to society. Personally, I think his warning is right because as we can tell, until today, society continue to suffer from corporate and also accounting scandal, despite the fact that people are now better educated. Yeah. So this is consistent with the some scholar, for example, Law et al. 2008. It says that it occurred because behind each scandal and also crisis, actually is a possible lack of moral in educated people. So we have to admit that actually corporate and accounting scandal are not new issue or new phenomena. Okay, so as an professional accountants, we still remember since 2002. 2002 actually has been reported as watershed period for our profession because the significant American collapse, corporate collapse such as Enron, WorldCom, and Tyco, as well as the collapse of Arthur Andersen's and leads for the emergence of Big Four audit firm. And then we should also admit that actually the accounting scandal occurred not only in the developed country but also in our country, in developing country like Malaysia and also Indonesia. So for example, in Indonesia, accountants engage in fraud manipulation. This is examples of large listed company in this country like PT Hansen International, PT Timah, PT Garuda Indonesia, and same goes to Malaysia. We can see that never-ending story case of 1MDB, Transmart Groups, Sultan Berhad, and MISC. So this corporate and accounting standard actually give huge impact, not only change the legislation, for example, the introduction of Sablan-Osri Acts after the Enron case, as well as the revision of the accounting standard and the introduction or the improvement of corporate governance code of conduct across the group, including our country, but also a strong call for the enhancing academic integrity in higher education institution. Why they call for increasing academic integrity culture? Because academic integrity actually is important in ensuring the institution able to produce graduates who will become future captains of industry, future CPA, future accountants, future decision maker. We must ensure that these future captains of industry or future accountants must possess not only valuable knowledge, expertise, but also exhibit higher ethical attitude and also value. So this is in line with the crucial roles of higher education institutions and cultivating students' moral characters and also integrity, because we as an academia actually prepare for the workforce. So nevertheless, some scholars, for example, Nonis and Shift 2001 highlight that students who engage in academic misconduct during their study period are more likely to display dishonest behavior in the workplace. Okay. So that's why academic integrity culture is very important for higher education institution. So what is academic integrity? Academic integrity is the moral codes or ethical policy of academia as of value to an art throughout a student's learning experience in the workplace with a lifelong commitment to learning. In a simple word, in practical or actionable way, we can define academic integrity what is not means that the students not plagiarizing, not not involved in contract cheating, not engaging in AI writing misconduct. So this is according to the International Centers of Academic Integrity. Basically, this center give us 6 fundamental values that in order to cultivate academic integrity culture in our institution. The fundamental are honesty, trust, fairness, respect, responsibility, and courage. So as we can see that explanation here, what is honesty? Honesty actually, the academic community must be truthful, give credit to other people's words, and provide facts, provide accurate facts. And trust means that we able to provide transparency, trust others, give credence. And then fairness means that we apply rule consistently, engage with other equitably, okay, not different from treatment from one student to another student. And then respect means that we receive feedback willingly, accept other thought. Yeah? And then regarding responsibility, follow institution rules and conduct, engage in difficult conversation, and be models of good behavior. Encouragement that take a stand to address wrongdoing. Like, for example, we promote for the whistleblowing, be undaunted in defending integrity, so on. So based on these 6 fundamental values, we see that actually, in a nutshell, we can say that if the academic integrity have these 6 values, we assume that actually academic integrity may go beyond simply not cheating or plagiarizing. So that means that the student must be responsible for your own learning and have an obligation to be honest with yourself and others, and responsibility to treat other students and your lecturer with respect and fairness. However, the existence and also prevalence of academic misconduct among higher education institution community will give adverse impact on the academic integrity. So again, academic misconduct actually not a new issue, but it's a quite common, especially during the COVID-19 period. So the consequences of academic misconduct can be detrimental not only to student future performance career, but also the reputation of the institution and the qualities of our graduates. So what is academic misconduct? Actually, some people say, some scholars define academic misconduct as an academic fraud. It's widely recognized as a deliberate deception and specific violation of rule within higher education institution. And Academic Integrity Policy 2019, let's say academic misconduct is a deliberate or inadvertent behavior that has potential to result in the student or anyone is gaining an unfair advantage in one or more components of assessment. So let's look at the common examples of common activities or practice of academic misconduct. Maybe I think most of students aware about this, but I hope that nobody ever engage with this kind of academic dishonesty. So one is plagiarism. Plagiarism means that we presenting someone as work as our own, and then fabrication, manipulating facts in academic assignment, even when you try to avoid any penalty because we absent from the class, and then you manipulate MC and so on, that also academic misconduct. And then facilitation means that you try assist, you help your friend in final exam and in our common tests and so on, also academic misconduct, general misconduct, and other misconduct. Yeah, either you using unauthorized resources or you hire people or anybody to prepare assignments for you. Also, we assume that one, we classify that one as academic misconduct. Recently, the introduction and the use of various type of artificial intelligence in academia, especially fantastic tool. I think everybody know, everybody talk about that. ChatGPT become very hot topic in education field. So ChatGPT is an artificial intelligence chatbot developed by OpenAI and launched on November 30, 2022. So this chatbot actually use natural language processing to create human-like conversation dialogue. It's very interesting because you can enter the chatbot and then give instruction, and then the chatbot, the ChatGPT will help you to come up with for example, write content, including articles, social media, posts, essay, code, and even email. Okay, so that is why some researcher, some of researchers sometimes they choose ChatGPT as one of the co-author in their paper instead of other lecturers or other researchers. Yeah. So I share with all of you the advantage and disadvantage of ChatGPT in writing. So why I focus in writing, because I use the ChatGPT for writing purposes. So basically, in terms of the advantage of ChatGPT for writing is help us to generate writing idea. For example, I have two terms, academic integrity and academic misconduct, and then I don't know how to relate these two terms. So I just go to the chat and then I type, can you provide discussion, can provide discussion regarding the association between academic misconduct and academic integrity. So the ChatGPT will come up with very good and nice, beautiful discussion. Yeah, and then you also can use ChatGPT to understand certain theory. For example, IT management accounting subject. So for my student, like say after they read the task or they listen to the lectures, but they still feel that it's quite difficult to understand the theory and to relate with the examples of the company the actual reality practice. So they go to chat box and then they can type, for example, what is this in time, and then can you give examples company that apply ChatGPT and to apply GIT and so on. So ChatGPT will help you even if they give you explanation but you didn't understand, and then you just ask the ChatGPT. You say that I'm just 15 years old. Can you simplify the words, make it easy for me to understand? Then ChatGPT will explain again in very simple words. And then it also help to edit text to make sure free from grammars and then to summarize and paraphrase. So normally when I write a research paper for introduction part, I just give a first draft and then I ask ChatGPT to improve the introduction part. And then we have absolutely we increase the we help us to save lots of time. However, please remind there's a lot there are also disadvantage or ChatGPT. It happened to me last 2 weeks actually when I write paper to regarding I asked ChatGPT. Actually I write first regarding the impacts of professional expertise among auditors on the anti-money laundering compliance. Yeah. So after I provide that discussion or the paragraph, and then I put in the chat box, and then I ask the ChatGPT to give a citation, the relevant citation or the relevant paper that relate to the write up. And then ChatGPT provide 2 paper to me, but actually the paper is not exist. When I Google the paper is not exist. So don't believe 100%. Sometimes ChatGPT also make mistake. They also can they have potential to provide inaccurate data for you. And like originality, for example, if you ask ChatGPT to discuss what is discuss a relationship between academic misconduct and academic integrity, and then your friend next to you also type the same thing, then ChatGPT we give a same result, same discussion. So that's why they say ChatGPT actually lack of originality. And then sometimes they're also confused regarding our instructions. So be careful on that. And the data also, the result, the citation, the paper, the discussion actually quite outdated because the data up to I think 2021. Yeah. And then this is the whole topic regarding the potential risk of the ChatGPT to the academic integrity, because some scholar Venkacharaman 2023 says that this ChatGPT actually is a tool to facilitate student cheating. A student can now outsource their essay writing to the chatbot, which in turn increase the risk of plagiarism. A survey done by Intelligent 2023. This survey actually on over 1,000 university students in January 2023 report that over 1/3 were using ChatGPT for assessment writing. Of these students, 75% thought it's counted as cheating. Yeah? So as academia, what our strategy, prevention strategy to make sure that we still can sustain our academic integrity and mitigate academic misconduct. I think we should embrace with the AI, but at the same time, we need to educate our students on what is academic integrity, academic misconduct during our first class or semester, and then we teach them, guide them how to use AI ethically. And then, of course, there's a lot of detection software there. And then, the most important, we as a lecturers need to redesign the assessment to make sure that they only can use AI to gain some knowledge, but at the same time they put efforts to. We need their critical thinking. We need their actually own their knowledge. Yeah. So that is why we need to redesign their assessment. For example, we emphasize on the actual case-based assignment, podcast, peer assessment, or presentation. I think, yeah, that's all from me, Dr. Andini.
Right. Thank you, Professor Rahayu.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much about your presentation about ChatGPT. This is actually a quite controversial topic because I believe a lot of our students here have tried ChatGPT before to help them to do their assignment. Okay, is there anyone here? Do you have any questions regarding ChatGPT? You can ask in Bahasa.
Yeah, sure.
I can translate for you. And Professor Rahayu, so I believe understand Bahasa as well. This is a bit similar to Bahasa Melayu. Is there any questions? You can raise hand or type in your questions. Is there anyone here have tried ChatGPT before? Ada yang pernah mencoba ChatGPT?
Belum agaknya. Atau malu tu, doktor?
Malu. Maybe the student are shy. How about the lecturer, Ibu Sukma Dewi?
Ya.
Sudah pernah coba Bu ChatGPT?
Belum, Mbak.
Belum.
Belum.
Oh, oke.
Okey.
Ibu Galuh Dian dari Unmahas. Nggak ada. Coba sebentar. Saya lihat. Mbak Silvira Helmi dari Universitas Bung Hatta. Pernah coba ChatGPT?
Sudah, Bu.
Untuk digunakan untuk apa?
Untuk mencari referensi dulu, pas untuk bikin artikel buat skripsi kan, jadi ada pengetahuan. Cuman ada sih pertanyaan yang ingin ditanyakan sama Ibu Rahayu.
Ya,
Ya,
silakan.
Saya kan sebelumnya sudah pernah menggunakan ChatGPT, tapi kan itu tidak ada referensi ya di sana. Itu gimana ya cara mengakali untuk gimana sih cara kita membuat referensi ini gimana gitu. Nggak mungkin kan kalau deskripsi itu kalau di artikel tuh dia dalam bentuk sebuah pernyataan, kita nggak mencantumkan itu dari mana sumbernya gitu.
Oh, thank you for the question, Sevira, ya? Ibu Sevira. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
Ibu Sevira. Based on my experience, macam ini ya Bu, saya mula saya akan tulis dulu ataupun kita we just go to chatbot. Contohnya Ibu mau tulis tentang apa ya, academic integrity lah ya. So ask ChatGPT discuss on the academic integrity and impacts towards accounting profession. Okay, and then they come up with the discussion without citation. That's the first step. Dia tak ada cite any paper. Okay, lepas itu Ibu cut paste yang dia provide tu, discussion yang ChatGPT buat tu, lepas tu letak to another chatbot, lepas tu Ibu tulis please insert a relevant citation. And then dia terus masuk relevant citation including the termasuklah paper-papernya. Itu pertanyaan tu tadi ya. Itu menjawab ke tidak ni Ibu?
Actually she's a student, Silvira. Kak Silvira ya, student ya, mahasiswa ya.
Ya, Sevira student ya.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Nanti Sevira buat macam itu ya. Kalau assignment tu buat macam itu. Tapi don't believe 100% as I said. Ya, nanti tengok balik setiap artikel yang disuggest. Lepas itu baca balik semula dan improve. Because ChatGPT just help us untuk provide first draft. Ataupun Sevira come up with the first draft and then dia akan improve dari segi write up, grammar macam itu. Jangan kita depends daripada itu.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your answer, Professor Rahayu. Actually, I have tried ChatGPT as well. Saya sudah coba. They cannot come up with the references, but I haven't tried because if I ask like, can you provide the references? Then the ChatGPT will answer, oh, if you want to look for the references, please look in Emerald, and then like the ChatGPT will prompt me to other like website or journals. And it said that, oh, I cannot look for the references because I'm only a language tool.
Okay,
Yeah.
saya rasakan doktor itu terjadi kalau kita yang buat discussion tu. Maksudnya kita tulis dulu, lepas tu kita cut paste apa yang kita tulis tu, and then we cut paste in the chatbot, and then kita minta dia cite kan, masukkan insert the citation. Dia tak boleh buat. Tapi kalau dia yang buat dia yang buat discussion itu, and then kita cut paste, and then kita kata please insert the relevant citation, baru boleh. Tapi itu pun when I check the citation given actually not exist. Tu bahaya.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Jadi harus double check.
Ya, harus double check kan.
Alright, thank you. Is there any more questions? Ada pertanyaan lagi? Ada yang pernah mencoba menggunakan ChatGPT? Niki Ayu Putri, di mana ini?
Belum pernah, Bu.
Belum pernah. Oh, kok bisa belum pernah?
Bagus ya.
Mbak, izin Mbak.
Iya, silakan.
Kemarin saya kan buat jurnal, jadi itu dicek sama teman aplikasi dari Google. Jadi kalau kita buat jurnal itu kan ada minimalis yang berapa persen ya batas kita bisa dia akan keluar. Jadi alhamdulillah tuh memang di bawah batas ininya masih sangat jauh. Jadi bisa dilewatkan jurnal itu. Jadi kalau saya sendiri saya tidak, tapi beliau yang mengetes ini bisa Bu Sukma katanya sudah oke. Jadi di bawah 40%. Apakah itu cuman itu kan aplikasi tetap dibuat oleh manusia, bukan? Bagaimana cara kita mengatasi kan ada titik-titik kelemahan dari etika dari dalam baik itu dari sistem, dari teknologi, dari kode etik, pasti tetap ada titik-titik lemah yang memang bisa diolah dibuat oleh manusia. Seperti kita dengan stigma ya, peraturan dibuat oleh manusia, kadang-kadang untuk ditaati dan kadang-kadang untuk diambil titik lemahnya. Bagaimana cara kita mengatasi itu, Bu? Sekian Mbak pertanyaan dan sharing saya.
Bu Sukma Dewi, Unimal singkatan apa ya, Bu?
Universitas Malikus Saleh. Maaf Mbak, lupa saya tadi.
Malikus Saleh
Dari Aceh.
Dari Aceh.
Wah, dari Aceh.
Baik, terima kasih Bu Sukma Dewi. Bagaimana Prof katanya untuk mensiasati ChatGPT tersebut?
Apa dia sebenarnya, what's the question-nya Dr. Andi ni? Untuk apa ya?
How you ChatGPT is actually created by human as well. Right? I mean, how you use GPT to help you with the writing, because I know now they come up with not only Turnitin but also Turnitin for ChatGPT, right? How you still use ChatGPT to help you, but still can pass the Turnitin for the ChatGPT. I don't know what is it called, ChatGPT Turnitin.
Okay. So this is based ini Ibu Sukma ya. Ibu Sukma student ke lecturer ya?
Lecturer.
Lecturer. Okay, dosen ya. Ibu Sukma begini ya. Ini melalui pengalaman saya, tapi ChatGPT actually orang kata di peringkat pertama, nanti dia akan improve tau. After 5 years dia jadi sangat hebat ya. Tapi untuk permulaan ini saya rasa macam untuk saya improvekan paper, for example Scopus Q3, kita nak jadikan dia kepada Q2 tau. Selalunya Englishnya bukan English yang macam kita ini, sebab kita ini bukan native punya ni kan, country kan. English bukan bahasa kita ya. Jadi ChatGPT dia boleh rephrase ayat ibu itu yang ibu dah tulis itu menjadi seperti betul-betul up to standard yang English speaking country. Ya, itu the beautiful of ChatGPT. Yang itu memang bukan plagiarism sebab kita tulis sendiri. Okay, we throw the idea, we provide the first draft, but and then cut our write up, put in the chat box, and then ibu tulis please replace, and then dia akan come up with very good English, with the grammar error free, dengan dia punya English yang bukan daripada negara macam kita lah, memang English yang the top English speaking countries. Itu kelebihan yang mungkin kita boleh gunalah ya. Ya Bu. Lepas tu Ibu contoh Ibu dah tulis abstract kan. Lepas dia improvekan abstract itu and then Ibu kata can you give several suggestion regarding the title. And then they come up with a very good title. Tak payahlah kita fikirkan Bu kan. Kita pilih saja the best title, catchy one. Itulah dia memang membantu dari segi olahan, upgrade our text yang kita dah prepare. Bolehkah itu menjawabkah?
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Rahayu. Oh, Ibu Dewi is actually student, but master student. Actually,
master
you're going to be a
student.
lecturer anyway, so yeah. You're going to be a lecturer, Ibu Dewi, yeah. Yeah, actually, I've tried before the ChatGPT. Our first draft, like Professor Rahayu mentioned, we are not, English is not our native speaker. Of course, we make a lot of mistakes. Sometimes when we write, we use our speaking language actually, because when we write, we speak in our mind, right? Then we start typing. So it's not a formal language. So you can use ChatGPT in this way, like just copy paste your draft, and then you can just give command to ChatGPT, please improve the clarity, for example, and correct the grammar. Then it will come up with the correct grammar.
Yeah.
I hope that answered your question. Ibu Sukma Dewi, do you have any more questions? Ada lagi, Bu?
Yes, thank you very much. So clear.
Welcome.
Oh, ada satu pertanyaan di chat, Profesor Rahayu. Tadi saya pakai ChatGPT, Turnitin masih 34%. So actually the Turnitin it's still 34%. This is one of the ChatGPT user, Ibu Siti Mudawana. How can we paraphrase actually? Actually, have you tried the paraphrase function for ChatGPT? Yeah, Ibu Siti Mudawana. How to bring down the Turnitin from 34% until 10%? Professor Rahayu, using ChatGPT.
I never try, doktor. Kalau doktor pernah try ke mungkin boleh share. Cuma mungkin boleh guna maybe kita boleh guna juga software lain ya, Grammarly, Board ya, so that dia akan reduce the rates from 34% to the 10%. Ataupun doktor ada any suggestions?
Actually, if I mean, like ChatGPT, of course, cannot automatically because we cannot put the whole article, like 15 pages in the ChatGPT. It's too much, right? Maybe you can just do it like per section, and the command is paraphrase, right? Jadi nggak bisa satu artikel di copy paste kemudian minta diturunkan, nggak bisa, Ibu Siti. Jadi harus per section dan itu parafrasekan begitu biasanya. Kalau di paraphrase harusnya turun, gitu. Tapi nggak bisa sekaligus.
Ya, saya setuju. Kita tak buat satu paper dia. Selalunya buat 2 paragraph macam tu ya, one section to another section, because we need to read again. Betul tak dia punya paraphrase tu ya? Kita kena baca macam tu ya. Okay.
And there is one more AI, actually a lot more application or AI that can help us in writing. There is this application called Chat PDF. That one you can use one whole article, like copy paste one whole article, and you can start asking questions. Maybe you can ask how to bring down the Turnitin using the Chat PDF. I haven't asked before. I just asked about what is, normally I will use that like what is inside this paper, so I don't have to read the whole thing. Yeah. So like what is inside this paper, like some sort of abstract, but deeper one. Yeah. Oke, Ibu Siti, sudah terjawab Ibu Siti?
Sudah Ibu, terima kasih banyak.
Sama-sama. Dari mana Ibu Siti?
Dari Latan Samasiro University.
Di mana itu Bu?
Di Lebak Ibu, salam kenal.
Oh
Iya.
iya, salam kenal Ibu.
Aku lagi di
Terima
rumah.
kasih.
Iya.
Ya, terima kasih pertanyaannya. Is there any more questions? No more questions. Then, Professor Rahayu, do you have anything to add on as the closing of your presentation?
Okey, terima kasih banyak-banyak ya kerana memberi peluang saya join this conference. Thank you Dr. Andini, and also to all students today. I wish you all the best. Best of luck. Moga semuanya berjaya dunia dan akhirat ya, insya-Allah. Itu saja dari saya, Doktor.
Ya, terima kasih banyak Profesor Rahayu. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Rahayu, for a very insightful presentation about ChatGPT and how it will help us with our writing. And next, I will move on to our second speaker, Associate Professor Enkelida Lulac from University Hazi Zaka Kosovo. And the next session will be moderated by our colleague, Mr. Andri Zainal, PhD. Dr. Andri, whenever you are ready, the platform is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Andini. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me well?
Yes, loud and clear. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Andini. So especially warm welcome and very good morning to Associate Professor Dr. Enkelida Lulac. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Can you hear me, Dr. Enkelida?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so I don't have to explain who you are because I have a long list to describe who Dr. Enkelida is, but I believe that you will include the short bio of yourself in your presentation. So without further ado, I would like to let you to start the presentation. Is it okay with you?
Yes, sure.
So how many minutes, Dr. Andini? 20 minutes something?
I
Yes,
think 20.
All right,
20 minutes.
something. Okay, Dr. Enkelida, 20 minutes is yours.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, loud and clear.
Thank you. Greetings to all of you. I am Enkelida Lulac from State of the Kosovo, located in Europe. I am Professor of Finance and Accounting. I am very honored. I'm very glad to be here. Thank you once again for inviting me. Now I am going to share my slide. Can you see my slides presentation?
Yes, it's good with me, Doctor.
Okay, thank you once again for inviting me. Today I am going to talk more about, as I'm a professor of finance and accounting, I will speak about financial education, planning and management as well. I will make a relation with my 2 case study published on Web of Science and Scopus. Thank you once again. And what next, as you can see in this slide, general information about personal finance, planning, management, and so on, a new point of view, especially based on my case study, the change in the basic attitude, learn a special skill, conclusion, recommendation, question and answer in the end. What next? Introduction. As you can see, I will speak and I will let you know more about some contribution related to financial education, planning and management, effect of the recession on family and how to cope, importance of financial planning, build a household's budget, money management tips to improve your personal finances, benefits of financial education, case study number 1 and case study number 2. And what next? As you can see in the slide, some contribution related to personal finance. So example, the field of personal finance, including planning, consulting, and financial management is new and very important for profession for the country's economy and the financial stability. Previous studies have shown that individuals are not very prepared for this new loads, and they often manage their personal finance poorly. In this case, researchers are doing more and more research related to personal budget management in order to identify the best methods to help the financial well-being of society as a whole. Example, what about the research related to these authors in this slide, Naguib 2011. So financial education is important not only for individuals or individuals' families, but also for a society as a whole, as I mentioned before. And what about example marital status? So this it's very important for families how to increase their knowledge related to personal finance and as well for well-being. And it's important about that how to say factors, example, educational levels or income, country's economy, management, and so on, affect financial budgetary education. And what about Jacobs and Hershey 2005? So they analyzed investment from the perspective of savings made by individuals. In this case, all provide that the state should provide financial stability for the needs of the people, promoting innovation and development culture to give them opportunity to save, because by investing from their savings, they can generate profits. And in this case, they will have more financial stability. And what next? So example, Gomez 2009 says emphasize that saving for the future until retirement depends on two financial factors. For this type example, the number one as step number one is such as age and the income of individuals' families. And what next? It's important as well to know more about example Songhua 2009 that financial budgetary management facilitate decision making, information, savings, planning, and so on. And what next? So in this slide, you can see effect of the recession and how family how to cope this time. And as you can see, some factors, example, jobs and employment, family life, lifestyle change, investing, business opportunities, education, and so on. And I will speak quickly some tips and strategies, example, how and what is the best way for the factor number one, or jobs and employment. So job loss affect the stability of families and individuals. I will say some tips. Example, in short-term solution might include filing an employment claim, borrowing money from friends or family, and so on. And what about in the long-term solution? Please keep in mind that can include working closely with healthcare and restriction for higher paying. And what next? I will say as well some tips related to family life. As you can see, the stress of not finding work and loss of income can damage interfamily relationships. And what about some tips or strategies for these factors? Please keep in mind that in this case, family can work together to cope with the change brought on by an economic downswing. In fact, a recession may positively impact families that as families tend to stay home together and spend more time together, or instead of price nights out at restaurants or hotels, take the family to a local park for an evening picnic, or have a cheap family game night, and so on. And what about example business opportunities? So it's important for you as a students for finance and accounting to know more about these factors and some tips and strategies related to business opportunities. Please keep in mind that this is likely not the right time to start a new business, new company. But if you have an idea for new business, new company, you may need to put it on hold, continue to research new idea, and look for investors and business partners, but focus efforts on earning an immediate income to support your family example. And what about this slide? As you can see, some important financial planning. This is a road with some factors and some sub-factors. Example, what is interesting or what is the best way how to increase our income management or for better investment, inflation, security, and so on. And in this case, related to income management, please keep in mind that one factor financial planning is crucial, is that it can truly help you manage your money in the best way possible. It can also assist you in developing a strategy, a best strategy, how to manage your personal finance that will as well assist you in calculating the number of resources needed for the monthly spending. And example, what about for better investment? So please keep in mind that a smart financial plan considered your specific situation, risk tolerance, and long-term goals. What about your long-term goals or your long-term objectives for your life, your personal life, your family, and so on? And what next? What about for this slide? It's important based on my experience. Please, as students, ask yourself a few questions. Did I calculate my income correctly? If yes, in which aspect? If not, in which aspect as well? Are my expense figures accurate? Or another interesting question, are everyone's income and expenses accounting for, or is my plan based on actual numbers or what I hope I can earn or spend? Did I give it a fair chance or not? If yes, why? And if not as well, why? Do I need professional advice? It's important if you have any difficulties related to manage your money, your personal finance, to search for any financial advisor, example for how about your money, to increase your money for your education, for households, for groceries, or for home security, and so on. As well, you can see some steps. The number one, and it's very interesting, at set your goals. Please keep in mind, set your goals. What are your goals or your objectives with personal life? Example for me is my education, is my family, is my married, or and so on. And step number two, as you can see, identify incomes and expenses. And you will see if you are in equilibrium or not between incomes and expenses in personal finance. Another step, number three, separate needs from wants. Design your budget for each financial item, for personal, as I mentioned before, life, for education, for home security, and so on. Another step, put your plan into action, manage seasonal expenses, and looking ahead, is this the best way or not for my future, for my personal life, and so on. And what next? As you can see, money management tips to improve your personal finance. As I mentioned before, it's very, very important for you as especially I think for all of us. Track your spending to improve your finance, build up your savings. Example, create an accounting for saving for your money and so on, or start an investment strategy. What is the best way to start for a strategy for your personal money, for your to increase well-being in your family or in your life? Or another one, cut back on a recurring charge or pay your bills on time every month. What next? Strategies how to improve your financial education or your financial literacy. As you can see, pay yourself first, or get your credit report, or manage debt or pay bills promptly, create a budget for your family. I think it's important for all of us, as I mentioned before, that pay yourself first. For which reason is important? To build saving, this budgeting strategy involves choosing a savings objectives or goals. Example, payment for home, for education, for vacation, and so on. And next, what about financial planning process and financial literacy or education? It's important that you can see to how to identify your financial situation. Is it in the best way or not? Determine your financial goals, identify alternatives for investment to create a strategy, as I mentioned before, evaluate your alternatives, which is the best way for your alternatives is savings or investment or retirement or and so on. Risk evaluation as well is important, and put together a financial plan and implement as well. Review, evaluate and monitor the plan for your personal budget or family budget. And next, as I mentioned before, I will make a relationship with my 2 case study published on Web of Science and Scopus as well. And you can see and you will learn more about these studies related to personal finance and savings as well. So the purpose or objective or goals of this research case study is to provide a new approach to education and budget management as a necessity for well-being and financial stability. So how important financial education is to respondents, which variables are the best or not, or which variables are interrelated, and is there a difference between the groups in the most variables? What about methods? In this paper are included 2 methods: cluster analysis, key means, and MDS analysis or multidimensional scoring. And what next? In the next slide, you will see and you will learn more about some results and discussion as well. So please keep in mind the first, as you can see, why education or why financial literacy is important. Why? What about some financial advice or advice, or what about savings, planning, and financial management? And the need for financial education, financial advice, or planning and management, and so on. In this paper are included 3 groups: my country, Kosovo, Western Balkan countries, example, Albania, Macedonia, Montenegro, and so on, and European Union countries, Italy, Germany, Switzerland, Sweden, Norway, and so on. And what identify feature does each group have? Think about if they are identified by financial advice or financial advisors. And what next? So in this slide, you can see variables and cluster groups, or Example, gender, age, profession, incomes, sufficient information to make financial budget decision, awareness of the importance of financial assurance, or saving money as an assistance after retirement, create an emergency fund to overcome crisis or meeting budgetary financial needs for 1 to 12 months in a case of loss of work or ability to work for a while. Or another question, registration of all transaction or for budget incomes and registration for all transaction for budget expenses and so on. And as you can see in this table, as I mentioned before, 3 groups: Kosovo, European Union countries, and Western Balkan countries. And what about the purpose of this hypothesis is to see if there is difference in any of these observation, cluster number 1, 2, and 3. And what next, right choice and wrong choice related to personal budget or budget education, financial literacy. And what some results for each variables. So what about example for the gender? So those emphasize that all 3 groups, Kosovo, European Union countries, and Western Balkan countries, need to raise awareness of budget management, but at the same time, women can be good budget managers in the case of budget awareness. And what about example related to education? In all 3 observation or in all 3 groups, Kosovo, Western Balkan countries, and European Union countries, have the same opinion that the education management help to realize and save incomes. It means that well-being and financial stability do not depend on the amount of income, but education and budget management. And what about related to information for financial literacy? So Western Balkan countries and Kosovo emphasize that it's important for budget management age, but in European Union countries emphasize that age not is important, but the awareness of the age group. And what next? What some results for other variables, for example, for transaction related to expense or incomes. In this case, Western Balkan countries has the lowest average. After Western Balkan countries is my country, Kosovo, India, and the highest average has the European Union countries, or Norway, Italy, Germany, and so on. And what some results, for example, need for financial advisors or not, that in this case, the need for a financial advisor in the 3 groups or in the 3 clusters, Kosovo, European Union countries, and Western Balkan countries, has the same opinion. Practice and smaller budgetary financial control have Western Balkan countries, Albania, Montenegro, Macedonia, and so on, and the higher value has the European Union countries. In this case, based on the statistics or MDS analysis is, as you can see, is close to 0, which means that choice of these variables is appropriate to give some recommendation. Some recommendation for case study number 1, what should households do in the future? Both genders need to increase budget awareness, that they need a financial advisor during the budget cycle. Some recommendation, please keep in mind, it's important for all of us, improvement. Your way, your objectives, your goals related to personal finance, savings, retirement, registration for all transaction related to expense or incomes, and so on. Foresight and future thinking, how to create a best way, best strategy for my personal budget, how to increase the financial literacy, or how to increase my financial stability or well-being. And next, I will speak quickly for the case study number 2 related to financial education or literacy. This is the second paper published as well on Web of Science. So what about some objectives or purposes of this research for you as students? Is important to know more about that. Research includes households in my country. In this research are included 5,000 families. And what about some methods? As you can see in this research are 2 methods, factor analysis and multiple line regression analysis. To know more about results and discussion, you will see in the next slides. But please keep in mind, I will say some tips or advice based on my experience. So remember that a family can be covered by debt by buying luxury items, home, car, or clothing of expensive brands, or holidays, vacation, and so on, and do not become one of those families that do not save for emergencies just to look beautiful in the eyes of others. And another tips is, please be careful that the key is to identify what you are doing with your personal budget. Example, with your money for home, for education, for another, based on your goals or objectives as well. And what next? So in this slide, you can see some factors and hypotheses as well. The factor number 1, financial behavior related to saving funds based on financial behavior. The factor or third factor, implication or non-savings due to financial behavior. So the main alternatives, saving factors and financial behavior, are not important for or do not have any impact or positive effect, and alternative hypothesis, saving factors and financial behavior are very important in families or have a positive effect. To know more about related to these factors, you will see the results. In this slide, you can see some descriptive analysis related to gender, members of the family, employment, age, and so on. And what about right choice and wrong choice? So the results for the first factor or financial behavior in relation to savings, as you can see, the values of P is less than the significance level of 5%. In this case, the main hypothesis is rejected and accepted, factor number 1, 2, and so on. As you can see that the 91%, this factor, depend on independent variables, or savings and investment are very important for all families, or savings related to the financial situation, unspent money savings, savings for health, for emergency savings funds, and so on. And what about the results for the factor number 2 or second factor, savings funds based on financial behavior? As you can see, 91%, this factor based on depend on independent variables, or emergency saving funds, unspent money savings, survival savings, savings related to the financial situation, etc. And what about some results for the third factor, or implication or non-savings due to financial behavior? As you can see, these factors for 96% depend on the independent variables, or investment in luxury items is implication for families, and or excessive giving of money to family or friends as well is important. And this factor can you damage, or you can have some implication in related to the savings. Another factor is lack of awareness about savings and increasing concern in situation of extraordinary. So the main hypothesis is rejected and accepted. Factor number 1, 2, and 3, or the alternative hypothesis. Some conclusion and recommendation from a factorial analysis, and in the end, some recommendation for all families, for all of us that depend on this case study. Saving factors and financial behavior are very important or have a positive effect on households for emergency. And based on this case study, in some variables where the tests were positive but with a lower value, households should take into account the recommendation of the research in order to further increase financial behavior in relation to savings, especially for emergencies. But the main findings is the lack of financial behavior to save for emergencies. And next in the slide, you can see some literature for this presentation, this topic, or financial education, planning and management for 2 case study. Case study number 1 was for the 3 cluster groups, and the case study number 2 for savings of households in my country. And thank you very much for your attention. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. If you have any question, please feel free to ask me. Thank you once again.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Angelida. You may, yeah, okay. So it is very interesting topics. Yes, it's quite simple. It looks like quite simple, but I believe that it is not as easy as it seems. Yeah. So your research and your publication have shown and validated that this topic is very interesting to be studied further. And also it is very possible to be published in the reputable journal. So there are 2 questions already, 3 if I'm not mistaken, from Miss Galudian from Unwahas. Are you there, Miss Galudian, or Mrs. or Mr.? Sorry if I'm not noticing your gender. And then from this must be lady, Sukma Dewi from University of Manipur Saleh. And the last one is also from Sukma Dewi. So do you get the questions, Angelida, Dr. Angelida?
Just a moment. I will see in the chat.
Is Miss Galudian in here already? Or I just read the questions? I'm Galudian from Unwahas. May I ask, what if a child wants to have a financial plan for the future, but is stuck in the sandwich generation? How to deal with it? So do you get the questions, Doctor?
Yes, thank you for this question. It's important. It's a great question. So based in my experience, if I can say some tips, especially for households budgeting or financial literacy, but in case of households budgeting for children or kids, this is important area of that we have some calculator for the monthly costs spent at home, and I think you would be able to figure out how much you are left with to save or invest for education for kids or children. And another one, I think it's important to all of us to ask some question for my education, for my kids or for my family members. What are their living or lifestyles expenses? And now we will have some balance for incomes and expenses as well. It's important as well Another aspect for this question that task standing and strategies, example, how to manage your task, or are you living or working abroad, or what about some current investment or savings reserves, how much savings or debts you have right now. So, or another obligation, especially for families, is this may involve some miscellaneous, I think, cost. You might be planning ahead for the future, such as emergency fund to cover households catastrophes, example COVID-19, or family funds reserve in case something happens with your job or you, or is your retirement just around the corner, and so on. I hope my answer is correctly for you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Engkelida. Ms. Darudian, any more questions? Otherwise, I will continue with another question coming from another lady. So I guess this is very interesting topic for ladies, not being a gender stereotype, but I guess ladies are very good in doing the financial education planning and management, right? So, Miss Sukma Dewi, do you want to deliver your questions, or do you want me to read your questions? So it is up to you. So I believe that you can deliver your question in short, because you have written quite a long text in the chat box. Do you want to get it short, please, Miss Sukma Dewi? Okay. Yes, so in short, if I'm not mistaken, so the issue is, how do we deal with the current lifestyle recession that attacks people through social media? How we can control our spending, something like that. But yet we also manage the saving, not really tempted by the fashion or doing the online purchasing, something like that, in various platforms. So maybe you can give the thoughts, Dr.
Yes. Yes. Thank you once again. This is an interesting question. Thank you. As well, as I mentioned before, based on my experience in some collaboration, some projects in some universities, I will say as well some advice or tips, especially for financial literacy related to your question. Please keep in mind, but how to manage your money in short, medium, and long term, as I mentioned before, your goals or your objective is an integrated investment strategy would be developed based on your set requirements. What is the best way for investment in a strategy in your personal life or in your family for budget? Or please keep in mind as well, taking into account your time frame, or cash flow as well, or risk tolerance, current insurance coverage, investment goals, and this will help you to produce more actual and satisfying decision in your family or in your life. Another interesting fact based on my experience example, alternatives, as I mentioned before, can be closed down based on the decision you make as individuals or families. For instance, or for example, the idea to carry on your education, a task you cannot do a full time job, decision making, those stand as an ongoing process that works side by side with your personal and financial situation. So lost opportunities as a result of your decision making should always be kept in mind while analyzing the alternatives. Another one as well, if I can, to say while evaluating the option you might end up having on certain ideas in your family. Example, choosing your career over study involves risk. How can you ensure if it's rewarding in your future? Or another one, other financial decisions involve a comparatively low degree of risk, such as saving your money in savings account or purchasing some object of great value with it. Or in this case, thus while making financial decision, finding out risk and evaluating them is tricky. In the and what next? So you need to collect data based on your experience and the experience of others, your colleagues, your family, your relatives as well. And the decision-making process will require you to frequently update your knowledge in your in your location. And you can see, and you can say, and you can have some informed decision for your future. And as well, if I can to say another one, that what about financial planning process in your life or in your family? Especially as you ask me for the recession, can be considered as an action plan where you will pick ways to achieve your short or medium or long-term objectives with your life, in your life or in families. Often taken as a thought step for some people, but makes a huge difference in the long run. And the key thing to to consider here is to carry it out as early as you can. The longer is left untended, the longer it will take you to grow your wealth. Ultimately, a great shortfall in your saving when you retire. Thank you. I hope you are satisfied from my answer. If you have any question, please feel free to ask me. I'm happy to support or contribute.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Enkelida. Any more question? I will open for one more questions because we have 2 more discourses to be run. Any more questions from the participants? Let me check with the chat box. I don't think that there is more questions. I believe
If I can say just some word for the end, if I can. So as I mentioned before, why should I pay myself first? It's a good way to save for the future, or paying yourself first is a pillar of personal finance or budget. Not only do financial planners suggest it, but there are also plenty of books that prescribe it, or by paying yourself first, you are soaking away some cash just for you, whether in a savings or retirement account. That the easiest thing to do is to open a saving account for you.
Yep. So I took it as your closing statement, Dr. Enkelida. Is it right?
Yes.
Yes. So in the end, it is about provide. So this financial education planning and management is about providing us with a tool to decision making, to help us with coming up with the proper relevant decision making. So yet it requires a very strong discipline and consistency for the user to deal with this financial education planning and management that eventually will provide you with a good outcome in the best relevant decision for your own purposes. Thank you very much for sharing the very interesting thought in the financial education planning and management. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a very big applause for Dr. Enkelida Lulaj. So thank you very much, Dr. Enkelida. So I hope that this invitation do not bother you, because we arrange this event in the Sunday morning, especially in the Europe time. So I hope this doesn't bother your daily routine and leeway rhythm. And thank you for sharing us a very fruitful knowledge regarding the financial education planning and management. Anything that you want to add on, Dr. Enkelida?
Thank you. How to say thank you in your language?
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Yes, thank you for us to you too. So, ladies and
Thank you so very
gentlemen, please give a warm goodbye for Enkelida. So you are free to join in this event. If you want to continue your activity, you are free to leave the room. So thank you very much again, Dr. Enkelida, and see you sometime soon. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we will continue with another session, and this session will be sorry, I sorry again. Sorry, will be provided by Professor Dr. Khalid Hussaini or Dr. Ahmad Elamer.
Ahmad, ini kita langsung ke Ahmad Elamer ya.
Sorry, so I just get the notice from the organizer. Dr. Ahmad Elamer from Brunel University in London. Are you there?
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
Okay. So welcome on board, Dr. Ahmed. Very good morning there.
Morning.
So it's quite unusual to have the academic discourse in the Sunday morning, but here we are. So my name is Andri Zainal. I'm from University of Negeri Medan, and I will be your moderator for you to continue the session with the topic they have shown in the display in the monitor. So, Dr. Ahmad Elamer, your time is 20 minutes. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so 20 minutes is yours. Okay?
So first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to present your valuable conference. So I chose today to present a research paper about a recent topic in accounting. And this paper examines the impact of extended audit reporting, auditor disclosure tone, and the cost of it. So just to introduce myself, I am Ahmed Amir, Senior Lecturer in Accounting at Brunel University, London. So I have published many papers in accounting and auditing field. So over the last 10 years, I have published over 50 papers in top-ranked journals. And my research focus on narrative disclosure, earnings management, and auditing. And mostly I take those topics from sustainability view as well. So regarding to the current topic, I will first of all make an introduction for the topic, explain what is the meaning of extended audit reporting and why it is important. And after that, I will view literature review, research hypothesis, research sample and model, empirical results, and finally conclusion. So first of all, as introduction about the topic and the issue as well, most of you know audit report. Traditionally, audit report was very systematic and lacks enough details about audit process and the professional judgment. And normally, the audit report was mainly to have pass or fail decision, whether the company comply with accounting standards or not. However, after the financial crisis and the issues arise from different companies' scandals, this stressed the need to disclose more client-specific information and to enhance the information content of the auditor report. Regulators worldwide and audit standard setters took steps to require improved disclosures beyond the traditional pass or fail model. So this led us to a new enhanced audit report. We call it expanded or extended audit report. And to address the call for more information, international and UK regulators made significant changes to the audit report by implementing the standards to include what we call key audit matters. So starting from October 2013, the United Kingdom Financial Reporting Council issued international standard on auditing 700, which make it the first to require auditors to disclose such an expanded auditor report. Also, as you can see from this graph, you will see that after UK introduced their new standards in 2013, the international IASP introduced their new standard to be mandated from December 2016, and the US followed this changes and introduced their standard in 2020. So, as you can see in this slide, the evolution of audit report. So simply in 1898, it was very simple paragraph, and until before 2013, also audit report was very systematic, and normally it is one page to confirm that the company comply with accounting standards or not. But since 2013, especially in the UK, and since 2016 in the international and in worldwide, we applied the extended audit report, and you can see more details in the auditor report. So first of all, the auditor will say their opinion in the first paragraph, and this was the only component in traditional audit report. After the auditor state their opinion, whether this company comply or not with the accounting standards, they describe the key audit matters, areas of audit focus. We call it key audit matters or risks of material misstatement that had the greatest effect on our audit and how we could address this. After that, the auditor explained scope of the audit, and finally the materiality and how they use materiality to identify scope of the audit and evaluate the misstatement. So as you can see, there is a significant variation in audit report. And after auditors apply extended audit report, we can see auditors disclose some lengthy reports. So in our sample, we found that auditors report between 2,000 to 19,000 words per report. So regarding to this new standard, which is ISA 701, in this standard, regulators mandate that auditors of UK listed companies to disclose significant risks of material misstatement or key audit matters. And here we don't disclose only the item, we disclose how the audit procedures address these risks, and also the materiality threshold used in the audit report. So here, auditor disclose client-specific information related to risks of material misstatement and the application of materiality and the scope of the audit. So why disclosing the key audit matters or risk of material misstatement is important? So first of all, when auditor disclose those key audit matters, it enhances the communicative value of the auditor's report. Also, it provides greater transparency about the audit that was performed. Also, it helps users in understanding those matters that auditors see as most significant. And finally, to help users in understanding the entity and the areas of significant management judgment. Based on this, this standard can potentially be very important to providers of debt and equity, not only draw differently payoff from their investment, but also have different risk preferences. Also, those external users who mainly rely on public information, they can rely on auditor report because it's more reliable and it can help them to take decisions about company risk and the company's future viability. Based on our search, we found that there is empirical and the theoretical gap in previous studies. Most of previous studies focus on the consequences of extended audit report in equity market, not debt market, and this trigger us to examine the informativeness of disclosure of the expanded audit report on the debt market, not the equity market. So what would be our contribution if we examine this relationship? First of all, our study contribute to the growing body of literature on the information content of the expanded audit reporting. Mainly those studies, previous studies like Goodreads et al. 2018 or Bedard et al. 2019, Minutimisa 2020, all those studies focus on the equity market. And we add to this literature by examining the impact of new disclosures in debt market. Also, we contribute to the academic literature on the impact of various dimensions of audit reporting on cost of debt. And also, our results raise important questions for corporate governance, regulators, and the policymakers as well. Regarding to our study, we developed 3 hypotheses. The first one is the introduction of expanded audit reporting and how the introduction of this new standard could affect cost audit. So theoretically, as you know, auditing and financial reporting affect the decisions in debt market. So there is a lot of literature provide evidence that creditors and external users get important information from auditing to evaluate the default risk and assess uncertainty about future cash flow and also debtors' credit worseness. So audit information reduce information risk problems and related monitoring costs. The relevance of the information in the auditor report for private debt market participants is the subject of considerable accounting debate. One stream of literature highlights that due to lenders' access to private information, they are less likely to use information in auditor report. So this means that based on this stream of literature, audit report information is not important. However, another stream of literature argues that the auditor report help lenders to more accurately assess borrowers' risk because it provides credible information on the quality of accounting numbers. So based on this debate, we would expect that introducing expanded audit reporting with more detailed information will improve financial transparency and reduce information risk, which lead to a potential reduction in debt monitoring costs. So based on this, our first hypothesis is the introduction of expanded audit reporting is related with less cost of debt. What is the meaning of this? We argue that when we introduce this new standard, auditor will disclose more information, and this more information will lead to less cost of debt. So in this hypothesis, we compare between before the implementation and after the implementation. For the second and the third hypothesis, we focus only on post-implementation. So following the adoption of expanded audit reporting, FRC, Financial Reporting Council in the UK, report a number of improvements in audit reports, including greater details of reported risks, clearer explanations about how the scope of the audit was impacted by those risks, and finally, more comparative information when risks change between periods. So this means that disclosing risk of material misstatements or key audit matters represent the auditor evaluation and the reaction to the riskiness of the audited companies. So based on this, if the auditor disclose more key audit matters, so this means that this company is more risky, and vice versa. So this means that lenders will receive additional and more detailed idea of the performance of audited companies and their riskiness, and the level of risk of material misstatement may vary. So some companies will disclose more key matters or less key audit matters. And based on disclosing those information, key audit matters will send the signals to the debt market and about the auditor perceived risk. And based on this debate, we expect that if the auditor disclose more key audit matters, this will lead to higher cost of debt because this means this company is more risky. And based on this, we developed two sub-hypotheses. The first one is cost of debt is positively associated with the number of risks of key audit matters or risks of material misstatements. And there we speak about number. And the second sub-hypothesis is cost of debt is positively associated with the length of risk of material misstatement. So here we speak about the volume of the disclosure. So in both hypotheses, we argue that if the auditor disclose more key audit matters or explain more about key audit matters, this will send the signal about the risk of this company, and this will lead to higher cost of debt. Finally, and this is one of the major contributions in our study, we examine the tone of the expanded audit report and how this could affect the cost of it. So many financial reporting studies report that negative reporting tone rise firm cost of debt or equity capital. So we have many studies found that if the company report include more negative tone, this will lead to higher cost. So based on this literature, we expect that if expanded audit report communicate more negative tone, this capture auditor uncertainty, and we could expect that this will lead to higher cost of debt. So if the auditor use uncertain or negative tone, this will lead to higher cost. And the creditors will assign a higher probability of litigation to firms with negative tone. And based on this, we expect that expanded audit report tone will be significantly associated with cost of debt. To examine our hypothesis, we collect the data from UK non-financial companies. Our final sample contains 302 non-financial companies with 2,079 firm year observations over 8 years before and after the implementation. And we collect the key audit matters and the auditor-related variables from annual reports manually, and also the other variables we collected from data stream and the FAME databases. Our main analysis use OLS based on heteroscedasticity robust standard errors, and in our additional analysis we use two-stage least square and the difference in difference. And as you can see here, we have two main models. The first model for all the sample before and after. And here we examine the implementation of the expanded audit reporting. So the implementation here, take 1 if it's a year after the implementation, and take 0 if it is before the implementation. In the second model, we focus on the sample after the implementation only. And here we look at number of the audit matters, the length of audit report, and the tone of the audit report. And we control for a number of variables related to firm level variables and the audit firm variables as well. Is this okay so far? Hello?
Yes, Prof.
Yes.
Yes, everything is okay. Okay, we may continue your presentation.
So as you can see here, we have a lag model. So we regress the current key audit matters on next year cost of debt, because we disclose at the end of the year. So we don't expect that key audit matters will affect this year cost of debt. It will affect next year cost of debt. So as I mentioned, cost of debt, we measure cost of debt as ratio of the total interest expenses to the average total debt. Expanded audit reporting is a dummy variable. One is expanded audit reporting is adopted and 0 if not adopted. Key audit matters is number of key audit matters. The length is the natural logarithm of average length of key audit matters, and the tone is we measure it by we calculate positive words minus negative and uncertain words, and those words was developed by Lebrun and McDonald's 2003. So regarding to our results, so as you can see here, we have some variables with 2079, which is the total sample, and some other variables with just 1,277, which is the post-implementation one. And the main takeaway from descriptive stats is that first of all, key audit matters, you can see that there is high variation between companies. So some companies has just one key audit matters, other companies has 10 key audit matters. Regarding to the tone, you can see the average tone is minus 0.03. So this means that auditor report is mainly deliver negative and uncertain words compared to positive words. Our sample focus on FTSE companies, which is the biggest companies in the UK. And because of this, you will find that this market is dominated by Big Four auditors. You can see that 97% of companies are audited by Big Four. Also, you can see that 13% of our sample has reduced negative income or loss in our sample period. Correlation metrics offer an initial results about our hypothesis. Regarding to the empirical results, so first of all, regarding to our first hypothesis, which examined the adoption of expanded audit reporting on key audit matters, you will find that the introduction of this new standards has a negative impact on cost of debt. What is the meaning of this? When we introduced the new standards, expanded audit reporting, this reduced cost of debt in general. So this means it has a positive impact on the market because it's this standard reduced the cost of debt. And this means that expanded audit reporting communicate important information to external users, especially lenders. And this support our first hypothesis. Regarding to the second hypothesis, which looked at number and the length of key audit matters, this after the implementation only. So we found that number of key audit matters and the length of key audit matters have a positive and significant association with cost of debt. What does this mean? This means that if the company has more key audit matters or the auditor disclose more about this company, this will signal more risk to the market, and based on this risk, creditors will assign more cost to this company. So there is positive impact here between number of key audit matters and the length of key audit matters on cost of debt. When we look at the tone, here we look at the net positive tone. So it is positive minus negative minus uncertainty. We can see that there is a negative relation. between a net positive tone or net tone and the cost of debt. What does this mean? This means that when auditor report more positive words compared to negative and uncertain words, this will reduce cost of debt. Of course, after our main analysis, we run a lot of additional and sensitivity analysis. So first of all, we look at subsamples. So the first test is high Q-audit matters versus low Q-audit matters. And as you can see, we can found that number of Q-audit matters is very important. And the evidence of this is we found that the length and the tone of Q-audit matters will affect those companies with high Q-audit matters only. Okay. In the low Q-audit matters sample, you can see that we found that it is not significant. Okay. Also, we divide our sample based on earnings management, because this will another measure for risky companies. And also our results support that lenders or creditors look more to key audit matters when the companies has higher earnings management. Also, we controlled for auditor partner individual characteristics, including the partner switch and the audit partner gender. And also, we try to find out whether our analysis is affected by abnormal results. And we measured abnormal Q-audit matters, abnormal length, and abnormal tone. And we found that abnormal Q-audit matters, length, and tone also has an impact on cost of debt. Indigeneity test. First of all, we conducted difference. So in the UK, we have two markets: FTSE market and the alternative investment market. FTSE market for big companies, and AIM or alternative investment market for small companies. And the new standard was implemented in FTSE only. So we collected another sample from non-adapters, which is the AIM sample, and compare between both samples before the implementation and after the implementation. And as you can see, that our results again found that adopting expanded audit report has a negative impact in general on cost of debt. After that, we included more variables to control for omitted variables, and our results almost the same. Also, we control for exogenous variables using the two-stage least square, and again, our results almost the same. Finally, we divide the tone to negative, uncertain, and the positive tones. And as you can see that all of them has impact on cost of debt. However, you can see that negative tones has much stronger impact. So as a conclusion, our paper concludes that expanded audit report can reduce the information gap between auditors and the external users in general, specifically debt providers or creditors. And also we found that expanded or extended audit disclosure is negatively related to cost of debt. The number and the length of key audit matters has a positive impact on cost of debt. And finally, tone has a significant impact on cost of debt. What is the implication of our study? So one of those implications is, so for those developing countries who didn't implement expanded audit reporting, we argue that this new standard is very important, and we argue that other countries should implement this standard. And also, we argue that we should continue to have more auditor disclosure reforms. Also, for stakeholders and research academia, we found that extended audit disclosure communicate relevant information. So this means that future research can examine the impact of extended audit reporting on other financial outcomes or audit outcomes. Limitations of our study, we use automated textual analysis, not manual textual analysis. And also we try to reduce indigeneity issues. However, we cannot eliminate it completely. Thank you very much for your listening, and I am happy to receive your questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed, for the great presentation regarding the extended audit report, audit disclosure tones, and cost of debt. So, any thought or questions from the audiences? So, is there any auditing friends in this room? Please raise your hand and ask Dr. Ahmed questions or thought. You may present your question in English as well as in Bahasa. I will try to re-explain in this. Any questions? So I have not seen any queries in the chat box. So maybe you want for the audiences can present your thought verbally. Okay, while we are waiting for the questions, so I guess this is quite heavy actually. Not in the negative way, but surely in the positive way, because unlike in UK, Indonesia has in progress is in the progress in implementing this extended audit report. So we call it as the key audit matters, KAMs. Same like I think it is the international term for the key audit matters. Same code 701, but still in the exposure draft stages. So yes, I believe
this will give a great opportunity to researchers to do more research in this idea in Indonesia, because it's a new adapter for the standard. So
yeah, it's supposed to be, because this is a very interesting area, because the extended audit report is the future global audit report that we need, that especially for the inspector perspective wise, that to improve the audit communication. However, the issue is sometimes investor doesn't like details. So they require the short and short issues that sometimes this KAM, this key audit matters pass by them. So this is very interesting for the Indonesian practice, especially in the research activity. We don't have yet the full disclosure of the audit fees or service fees. So this might be the issue for us to remodel your research into our practice, but yet we are progressing, and hopefully that it can be conducted as it has to be. So we have one question already, I guess, Dr. Ahmed. Excuse me, the Miss Galudia present in Bahasa. So apakah ditemukan file melakukan penyerangan? So if Auditor found that client do misconduct or against the law, but it doesn't affect to the fairness of the financial reporting. What should be done by the auditor? Do you get the questions?
So traditionally, auditor was between two decisions. The first one, that those financial reports are complying with IFRS or accounting standards, so this company will pass. The second option is this company is not complying with IFRS or accounting standards, so this company will fail. The new standard offer a third option. Okay, what is this third option? Is this company pass but with reservations? So he explained what are the key issues in this company and how the editor address those issues, what tests he made to look at those issues, and he report those procedures. But this doesn't mean that this company made a fraud. No. So he passed the company, but with some reservations. Or this company comply with accounting standards, IFRS, but there was high risks within this company. So this not in the fraud area. Is this okay?
Ms. Claudian, do you get the questions? So let me explain in bahasa. So selama si kliennya itu mengikuti IFRS standar akuntansi keuangan, laporannya mengikuti standar akuntansi keuangan, maka mungkin itu akan menjadi salah satu poin audit khusus yang perlu didiskusikan bahwa si auditor si klien itu memiliki memiliki kasus dengan hukum sehingga harus dielaborasikan nanti dalam laporan auditornya, dan itu bisa mempengaruhi going concern maybe Mbak Edward ya. So maybe that is the thing that need to be reflected in the key auditors. Sorry, I'm speaking in English. But point is seperti itu tadi kira-kira. So do you want to add more explanation, Dr. Ahmed?
So as I mentioned, this is totally different from fraudulent annual reports, and this is another area. So we didn't look at this.
Yeah. But in the simplest way, I believe that when the auditor found that there is a criminal against the law acted by the client, so we will just modify the opinion, right? So yes, as long as the financial report itself is fully conducted, fully complied with the financial accounting standard, that is okay. But yes, the key audit matter regarding the issue of client against the law, that must be something that we have to explore in the additional paragraph or even the key audit matters. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Ahmed. Is there any more questions, Ms. Galudian? Do you get the answers? Hope that you can enlighten your perspective regarding the issue that you have faced before. Any more questions, ladies and gentlemen? All right. Is there anything you want to add, Dr. Ahmed?
So at the end, as I mentioned, extinct audit report is a new standard, is a new implementation worldwide. So this is a fruitful area of research, and I would encourage researchers worldwide to work in this area. There is many ideas in this topic. So we did some research on this topic as well. We have some papers under review, but for researchers, master, PhD students, or staff members, you can explore how expanded audit reporting was implemented in your country, how expanded audit reporting could affect audit outcomes, maybe earnings management, maybe audit fees, maybe audit lag. So all those are ideas that can be explored. Also, you can examine why audit matters can be more or less. So you can search and found whether ownership structure could affect audit matters, whether board structure, board of directors structure could affect audit matters, audit committee and audit committee structure also could affect key audit matters. So all those are ideas that can be done, and it is not very hard to conduct it. And you will add a contribution definitely to the literature, because there is less literature nowadays in developing countries. So developed countries, they normally do a lot of literature when new standards come to the light. However, developing countries, they implement it afterwards, and also research is a little bit not that fast compared to developed countries.
100% agree with you, Dr. Ahmed. But my view is, to answer your questions why that you have just raised before, I think it would be much interesting if we can do the qualitative way, so involving the audit committee, so that might answer the questions and put this issue on top of what we should do to establish these key audit matters, the extended audit report, as a good communication tools, especially for investors. So,
especially socio-economic,
yes,
cultural factors are different from country to country, and this would lead to an impact on the practice. Yeah, of course.
Hopefully we can do another collaboration in future. So thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed, for your great discourse in this extended audit report. So, ladies and gentlemen, please provide a very good applause for Dr. Ahmed Elamer from Brunel University of London. So see you again sometime soon, and thank you very much for your participation. Have a nice rest of the day in London.
Thank you.
See you. Okay. So let me ask quick confirmation to the organizer, Dr. Almira.
Yes.
So how do we manage for the final presenter, final speaker?
Okay. Yes. I will replace Prof. Khalid, and I will read her. I'm sorry. I mean, I will read him slide or his PPT. Correct? Okay. I will share screen.
But before that, can I leave the room because I have something to do?
Okay. It's okay. I will take over.
Okay. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Adi. Thank you very much.
Dr. Duni, for Dr. Ahmed, for Dr. The first speaker and participant. It's very nice, and I'm honored to be invited as the moderator for this event. So hopefully we can see each other sometime soon. And good luck, and see you.
I'm sorry. Hello, everyone. My name is Amira Kamalva. I will take over this session. Okay. I will replace Prof. Khalid to read him presentation because him have some trouble with him connection. Okay, wait a minute. Okay. Prof. Khaled Hussaini has talked about Industry 4.0, ESG, circular economy, and corporate performance, a sustainable disclosure perspective. Prof. Khaled Hussaini, he is a professor of accounting and financial management in University of Oxford. Okay. Industry 4.0, how is it shaping the accounting industry? The digitalization can increase audit quality and satisfy stakeholders by making the auditor works and share information more relevant using digital tools such as big data analysis. In 2013, a long-term action plan for the manufacturing industry in the UK called the Future of Manufacturing was implemented. In this research, have several main issues. One is corporate information toward Industry 4.0 technology allow faster, greener, and lower cost products. Number two, emergence of circular economy in which end-of-life products are used, remanufactured, and recycled. Number three, financial and environmental performance. Number four, corporate governance. Number five, sustainable growth and economic value. Okay, this background in this research is since the middle of the 20th century, we have entered an era called the information age or digital age. Okay, many organizations are adopting and investing in new technology to cope with societal and environmental needs and to take advantage of modern technology and technological progress that goes on a daily basis. In recent years, this concept environmental, social, and governance has become a hot topic not only for academic but also for practitioner and international standard setter. Expectation concerning the contribution of Industry 4.0 to sustainable development and the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals are rather high, especially among policymakers and representatives of the industrial sector. 4.0 has the potential to be a significant opportunity for integrated with advanced technology digital transformation, but it also has the potential to be a roadblock if sustainable goals are not addressed while implementing 4.0. The increasing integration of the Internet of Things into the industrial value chain is laying the groundwork for the fourth industrial revolution or Industrial 4.0. The terms Industry 4.0 originated in 2011 from a project in the high-tech strategy of the German government, which promotes the computerization of manufacturing. 4.0 is expected to reshape corporate strategy, supply chains, value chains, business operation and processes, and stakeholder relationship. Okay, what do we mean by 4.0? There is no universally accepted definition of 4.0. The key objective of 4.0 is to improve the profitability of the manufacturing sector. Different concepts are used to reflect 4.0, such as smart manufacturing, digital transformation, the Internet of Things, cloud computing, big data, and artificial intelligence. Okay, why is 4.0? Companies are now facing increased pressure from governments to take part in the transition to industry for technology revolution. 4.0 has become a trend and is currently high on the agenda of company, government, and research. Due to a lack of a detailed understanding of the 4.0 concept, companies differ significantly regarding adopting 4.0 technology. The currently available research is less clear about what impact 4.0 has had so far on industry. Call for research rise, a call for empirical research to explore the influence of 4.0 mechanism on organizational performance. Okay, a sustainable disclosure perspective. Sustainable disclosure is defined here as a voluntary disclosure undertaken by many corporations to communicate with key stakeholders about a company's sustainability strategy and goals. Demands for corporate disclosure arise from information asymmetry and agency conflict between insider is a manager and outsider is stakeholder. Increasing levels of voluntary disclosure reduce information asymmetry. Rich environment and low information asymmetry lead to desirable consequence. One of these is the improvement in firm performance. The information provided in the annual report has been claimed to be an effective means of communication between manager and stakeholder. Okay. Companies are more likely to disclose information about their transformation towards Industry 4.0, ESG, and circular economy to signal the strategy information to their stakeholders. This could lead to financial sustainable for this company. Okay, the project, what we did first. A new measure for corporate transformation toward Industry 4.0. Explore the trend of corporate transformation towards Industry 4.0 by focusing on disclosure practice over years and between industry sector. Examine the impact of the quality of corporate governance on Industry 4.0 disclosure. 4.0 disclosure measurement. Okay, to measure the narrative disclosure related to corporate 4.0, transformation into annual reports, we follow previous literature for constructing a bag of words. We create Industry 4.0 disclosure index through a comprehensive review of Industry 5 frameworks adopted by top professional organizations, Boston Consulting Group, McKinsey and Company, Deloitte, KPMG, iScope organization. We also take a large sample of strategic management accounting literature, and the final index includes 202 items. Okay, this is the disclosure measurement. You can see, and it's a sample of our word list. Okay, and Industry 4.0 measurement, we use an automated content analysis approach. We use corporate financial information environment software to extract the narrative section in the annual reports and to score the annual reports based on the developed measurement. To validate our disclosure score, we read each sample of annual reports to manually identify industry for the late disclosure. We then compare this with the score generated by CFIE. We found consistency between the two scores. Example, in the strategy, we have sustained our investment in the technology that will ensure our long-term competitiveness and innovation ambition. New technology are helping us build intelligent operation throughout our business. Inspection robots are helping us deliver against our strategic priority of modernizing and transformation BP. New technology are helping us increase the amount and quality of data we gather from our operation and speed up our analysis, allowing us to act more quickly. Okay, this is another example. Okay, this is so in the skies. I will go next about my findings. The practice of UK company toward 4.0 have accelerated approximately 2-fold in 2018 compared to 2013. Managers are aware of the contribution of 4.0 practice to business model transformation. This is consistent with the early studies. Organizations differ significantly in terms of what type and the number of technology they adopt 4.0. We find that healthcare and information technology sector have the highest disclosure score compared with other industry sector. Corporate governance quality drive the level of 4.0 disclosure. Okay, what we did. This is a project to what we did. We examined the impact of corporate transformation toward Industry 4.0 on finance performance. We examined the moderating role of ESG and the relationship between corporate transformation toward 4.0 and financial performance. Okay, key findings. There is a positive relationship between Industry 4.0 disclosure and financial performance. The ESG strengthens the relationship between Industry 4.0 disclosure and financial performance. Social responsible firms place an emphasis on Industry 4 related disclosure in annual reports, and this is correlated with an improvement in their financial performance. Okay, projecting what we did. We measure the adoption of the circular economy at the firm level. We examine the synergy between Industry 4.0 and circular economy. We examine the moderating role of governance mechanism on synergy between Industry 4.0 and circular economy. We examine the impact of Industry 4.0 synergy on corporate financial performance. Okay, sustainable strategy investment decision-making practice in UK company. The influence of governance mechanism on synergy between Industry 4.0 and circular economy. What is a circular economy? The circular economy is a model of production and consumption, which in reusing, repairing, refurbishing, and recycling existing material and products as long as possible. The circular economy establishes a more sustainable production and consumption model in which raw materials are kept longer in production cycle and can be used repeatedly, therefore generating much less waste. Okay. This is a circular economy disclosure index. You can see in this PowerPoint. Okay, this is I still explain about circular economic disclosure index. Okay, main findings. There is evidence of the synergy between 4.0 technology and CE techniques through exploring and exploiting technological technique and mechanisms to cope with changing business environment. Synergy between 4.0 technology and CE technique is the key determinant of sustainable value creation and sustainable organizational performance. The synergy between 4.0 technology and CE technique significantly impact companies' financial performance. Governance mechanisms strengthen the relationship between 4.0 technology and CE technique and company performance. What's next? It would be interesting to study the tone of disclosure as well as the readability of 4.0 or circular economy disclosure. Okay, it would be interesting to explore the same research question before, during, and after the COVID-19 pandemic. Future research might examine 4.0 circular economic disclosure in different settings to explore the impact of other contextual factors such as national culture, political, legal, and social factors. Okay, qualitative research might examine how decision makers attribute shape such strategy choice. And we focus on supply side for financial information. Future research would focus on demand side. It could be interesting to examine stock market reaction to industry for circular economy information. Okay, thank you. This is a research by Prof. Khalid Hussaini. Yep. He cannot attending our international conference because has problem about his connection. If you have a question, you can chat in our chat box, and I will tell him about your question. Okay, thank you. Baik, untuk link presentasinya sudah saya share ya. Coba dilihat lagi di chat paling atas. Ya, itu udah saya share di jam 3:07. Okay. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for your attention in this our conference. If you have a question, you can text me in the group or our WhatsApp number, right? And Prof. Khalid Hussaini, he is the last speaker. So this is a last session in our conference. Okay, wait a minute. Oke. Terima kasih semuanya yang telah hadir di International Conference hari ini. Ya, untuk presensi udah saya share di kolom checkbox, jadi mohon diperhatikan. Nanti untuk sertifikat presenter nanti akan saya akan diberikan terpisah, nanti jadi akan di list lagi nama-namanya untuk sertifikat presenter. Nah, terima kasih semuanya atas kehadirannya. Saya ucapkan terima kasih. Jangan lupa untuk segera dikumpulkan artikelnya ya, karena kan mungkin ada perbaikan dari para reviewer, segera diupload karena akan segera diproses untuk pembuatan book chapter. Baik, terima kasih. Kami panitia mengucapkan terima kasih sebesar-besarnya dan mohon maaf apabila ada salah kata, ada salah teknik. Baik, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Bu.